Hi everyone, I'm Mona Marlowe. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video, it's all about the legendary British fashion icon Isabella Blow, otherwise known as Izzy, and her favorite iconic legendary perfume that she made her own. um, if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm all about legendary perfumes and legends who wore them. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. A little bit about Izzy. She was born into an aristocratic family in England, um, and she was very creative from a very young age, a rebel to say the least. And I looked at her astrology chart, and she was a passionate Scorpio, obvious, and had a Pisces moon. So she was extremely creative, dreamy. She lived her fantasy. People called her avant garde, a freak of nature, because she really wore extravagant hats every day, like it was her normal uniform. And she didn't care. And most Scorpios have that ability to just be who they want to be. And she was just that. She was a fashion editor for 20 years, starting her career here in New York City in the 1980s, um, assisting Anna Wintour and just working her way up in the fashion world. She also was a prolific, inspiring fashion stylist, and she just had a magic of um, having an incredible good eye. And also, she wasn't just about herself, she was about others and championing others, such as designers, um, people, she thought could be high fashion models, and they would become just that. She really gave so much of her um, creativity and her blood, soul to fashion for so long. And she was very complex, battled with her demons throughout her life. Um, but I think perfume was always an inspiration to her, like she says in a couple quotes I'm gonna read to you in a minute. But a little bit about Fracas by Robert Paget. This 1947 perfume is the tuberose of all tuberose fragrances. It set the bar for the rest. We can definitely say that. Um, it's animalic, it's sexy, it's over the top, feminine. Um, some people say it's dark. To my nose, it's not. This was gifted to me actually, this bottle in 1997. I personally fell in love with this perfume in 1996 when I first read about it in Vogue magazine. I remember vividly, I was still in beauty school, going to school to become a hairdresser at the time in Philadelphia, living with my parents and obsessed with fashion magazines, high fashion magazines. And they had this whole article about Fracas, and I was determined to get my hands on this perfume, which was really hard to find even at that time. Um, and I found out this perfume store in the building in Center City, Philadelphia, sold vintage fragrances. So I remember getting on the subway with my saved money, pocket money, and going and asking for Fracas. And I remember the lady said, I only have, unfortunately, the eau de cologne, which I didn't mind. Soon as I smelled this, it was instant obsession, head over heels. I was in love with it. I said, I will take it. Not only that, I was surprised it was so inexpensive because at the time this was only like $26. But I will say it's really impossible to find now and extremely expensive. But that's how I was introduced to this legendary, beautiful, sweet, hypnotic tuberose scent that really um, was part of my life for many, many years and still is. I mean, I wore this exclusively for probably the first 5 years after. Now I wear many other fragrances, but this perfume has that certain quality. When you fall in love with this, it's like you can never ever like detach yourself fully. And that's how Isabella was with this perfume. And I want to read you a couple quotes that she wrote about this beautiful, iconic fragrance. Izzy writes, my relations with Fracas is obsessive. I fell in love with it in my early 20s. I have covered myself in it since. Encountering the fabulous tuberose smell, I was hooked. It's incredibly erotic. I love the sensation of it dripping down my skin and scent of the powerful scent kicking in. I have bottles in my bag, on my desk, everywhere. I reapply it about 15 times a day. And yes, she was known to carry the mini extrait bottles. I think this formula came out in the 80s or in the 70s. It wasn't the original, but she carried many minis of this and she would hand them out like candy, I read. And she also writes another interesting quote in 2005, September 4th to be exact. She said, I pop into Les Centaurs, a perfumery in central London, 5 times a week to talk to the man there, firing off questions about what fragrance Marlene Dietrich wore when she died or what Napoleon wore. I love smells, and fragrance is a great source of inspiration for me. Although I've only worn Fracas since I was 17, my perfumer is a psychic and faith healer whom I turn to because I've had a lot of tragedy in my life. He makes a perfume of 19 different fragrances which I rub onto my hand before I go to bed. I often see him in the evenings as he is very calming. So we could see Izzy loved perfume and what other people, she was interested in what others wore, like Marlena Dietrich. So she would have definitely loved my channel. And I've always been obsessed with, of course, legendary perfumes, but also what legendary old Hollywood stars wore. And I guess that's it. With that, I'd like to close. I dedicate this video to Isabella Blow, who will never be forgotten, not only in the fashion world, but in the world in general. Her spirit lives on forever. And also, I dedicate this to all of her fans who are still inspired and keep her memory alive. Um, Thank you, and I will see you in my video to come. Bye-bye.